It was big news towards the end of last week, with many news and media outlets reporting on this. There's stories about China's state-backed Linen Typhoon and Violet Typhoon, as well as some little-known one called Storm 2603. Which were said to have exploited some vulnerabilities, as I said, mainly on the on-premise stuff, which is all the SharePoint stuff, I guess, which is a bit of a surprise to all of us. The US tech giant, that's Microsoft, has released security updates in response and has advised on all on-premise SharePoint service customers to install them. Whilst China is playing, sort of like, well, we'll deny that we've done anything to do with this until you have proof, Microsoft are stating publicly that they expect the assaults to continue. There's a few things that have been said about it in the press. I mean, I think that this story was picked up by many different news agencies. The BBC, I think, was primary amongst them. But there was one story about the fact that the US Department of Defense had been breached as well in this particular regard. So I guess, is it a simple case of just patching not being carried out, or is it a little bit more to it than that, do you think?
So I've had a little look into this, and there's a fair bit of sort of technical information that Microsoft have shared, and particularly then going into the detailed vulnerabilities themselves. It's not 100% clear to me. I'm sure somebody more knowledgeable than I would be able to say whether these particular exploits are as a result of new vulnerabilities that have been discovered by these particular hacker groups. I'm not sure if it's a case of if organizations had been patching as they should be. And as we know, with these big organizations like Microsoft, they have what's known as Patch Tuesday. So generally on a monthly basis, they're putting out a huge amount of patches to their various applications. And so organizations should be looking at what Microsoft is putting out, and it's other major organizations as well, not just Microsoft, Oracle, you name it, they've got their own version of a Patch Tuesday. And so there's that kind of ongoing vulnerability management and monitoring that should be happening amongst security teams. Now, whether this one that exploited vulnerabilities in SharePoint, whether you could have reduced the risk of that by keeping your patching up to date, not sure. But I guess probably the key point is that when this vulnerability was exposed, Microsoft put some critical patching updates out there within a day or so of these exploits becoming known. So I guess there's two things there. There's ongoing patch management, and like I said, that needs to be happening on a monthly basis. And I think we've talked about this before. It's something which can be quite resource intensive, because as an organization, as you see these patches coming out, you have to actually do an assessment and figure out, how does it apply to my organization? And then you've got to probably prioritize them as well. And then they have to go through a process of being tested, and they've got to be pushed through a number of environments before they make it into production. There's quite an intensive amount of assessment needs to be done